welcome to the Superset Podcast, episode 65. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe. Hi.
Hello.
So I'm doing Ultimate Arms a second time.
So what made you decide to go do it again?
I felt like I saw forward momentum.
You did. I can attest to that.
And so I did another thing in between. I forget. I don't even remember what I did now. But and then I was like, well, I'll do this again. Especially because like at the moment I'm trying to get lean. So I was like, oh, instead of doing super intense because I'm not eating as much food.
Right.
So
like doing like the accumulation one or something like that.
Yeah, it seemed like a bad time to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, because right now you're kind of low on carbs and you need those carbs for recovery. Side note, there's a lot of people who do bodybuilding that don't think that you need to eat carbs. They think all you need to do is eat protein.
Right.
And while protein is an important part of that, it drives me crazy. Like as a MetPro coach, the people who don't get that carbs are beneficial for your recovery, but you can really tell a difference.
I can now. And I will say, like, I've always been very disconnected between like cause and effect when it comes to things regarding my physical nature.
You're just like, well, this is just how it is. Whatever this is.
Yeah. And so like, it wasn't until we'd been together for a while when you were like, oh, I feel like I'm starting to get sick. Maybe I'll take like an Advil cold and sinus now, where I would wait until I was miserable to take the Advil cold and sinus and then be like, these don't work.
That is what you did.
That is what I did. And so like it did take me honestly years at this point of working out and eating different before I really started to realize like, how come this one's really kicking my ass? And I'm like, oh, it's because of the way I am in my MetPro rhythm that I'm not eating a lot of carbs right now. And I'm like, oh, because I was like, well, I've done this other times and it's been challenging, but not like,
oh my God, I need to sit down a second.
Right. Yeah.
Like, give me a minute.
Yeah. A refractory period, if you will. And you will. And so I was just like, well, if I want to, if I'm eating fewer carbs at the moment, I should probably do something that's like not quite as intense. And like that's intense, but it's focused on one specific area. It's not huge amounts of volume, like you said, like a extreme accumulation or house of volume or whatever.
I'm curious, how much volume did you lift this morning after I left the room?
I think it was 13,000, maybe 15.
Wow. So I lifted for 45 minutes. It was chest and back and biceps. And I felt like I was going to die after 45 minutes. And
yeah, that was a lot because I came down at the tail end and yes, you were definitely like,
woof.
Yeah.
And it was 6,000 pounds. Just like literally half of what you did. And I know, hey, we're all in our own place in our journey. I'm not like, oh, poor me. I'm just like kind of fascinated by that because when you first started, you couldn't keep up with what I was doing. You know, there were times you could do the same length of time,
right? But
like where they started you, because I had already been doing it for like 8 or 9 months at that point.
Yeah.
I was a little bit above of where you started, but like, not only have you caught up, surpassed, you are like literally double what I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. It just feels weird. Like I'm like, it feels, it's awkward in terms of like, especially in comparing it to you, like it's like, haha.
Well, I don't see it that way. One, I have taken significant periods of time off of the Tonal.
That is true. Yeah.
And two, and you've been consistent since you started. You've never not done Tonal.
And you could kick my ass at anything cardio based.
That I could. Like especially if it's endurance. Like I'll just keep on trucking and be like, bye.
I'm like, I'm dead now.
So,
but yeah, I hit 8 million pounds not too long ago, and my strength score so close to 1,000.
So close.
996.
Wow.
So
I mean, that's really cool.
And honestly, it would probably be over 1,000 if I didn't do the arms thing twice. Like if I switched back to something that was more volume focused, I'd probably be there. But but that's not really what I wanted to do. So like at the end of the day,
gotta worry about the goals, not the numbers.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, the string score, like it'll be fun when I hit 1,000, but like whatever.
I love that you think it'll be fun. There's been like, I still get excited over your PRs and you still don't.
Yeah, I'm just like, whatever.
Of course you're going to go up. But it's not, of course.
I mean, if you lift it one weight long enough, eventually they're going to go, it can be a pound heavier, and then you hit a PR.
But the thing is, you kept lifting.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you give yourself enough credit for that.
Okay. So anyway, what, pray tell, do you have on the show this week?
Well, we're going to talk to Troy Taylor, and he's also going to be on the next, well, I think it's already happened, but he was scheduled to be on the next Tonal Talk over in the official Facebook group for Tonal. And then there was also the 4-week fast track contest. And then there was a big community milestone that Tonal just hit recently. And some book recommendations happening over on the OTC as well. So it's just some fun stuff happening within the Tonal community.
Okay. Well, before we get to all that shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you find a podcast. You can find us while you're there. Be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review. Super helpful. It's greatly appreciated. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Superset Podcast. And of course, you can watch all of these over on the YouTube. So there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Look who's talking about Tonal.
Troy Taylor will be on the next Tonal Talk. Well, like you said, it might have already happened by the time this goes live.
Yeah. But it was coming up, and he was going to talk about all the different like behind the scenes things that Tonal does as far as like putting the creation into like what classes that they make more of and things like that. There's so much data that is there that Tonal has.
Sure.
And I think sometimes there's people that just like, especially if they're new to the community, they're just like doing a workout and have no concept of like all that goes into why did people pick this certain workout?
Right.
Why are they making this? Why are they making that? But there's a lot of data that goes into that.
And one of the things that's probably the most fascinating and helpful is that it's real data.
Yeah.
Like if you ask people like how much do you bench press, you're
going to get a lot of results that aren't accurate.
You can knock off at least 20%, right? It's like asking somebody how long their junk is, right? Like, it's like if you ask a guy what his body count is, you can knock off 20%. If you ask a girl, you can add 20%.
Depends on the girl and depends on the guy.
That is true. So, but yeah, like the data they get is real. Like they know exactly how much you lift. They know when you started a program and stopped, or maybe when you took a little bit longer to finish something, or like all that stuff is just hyper specific and accurate in a way that it probably really never could be
if it was all self-reported.
Right.
Well, I mean, how many times have you talked about that, like the phone line is all just like, it's always wrong. Like, don't believe that.
Oh, like in radio, we would say, don't believe the phones. Like, don't believe the request lines when people are, I mean, obviously you take it into consideration, but
it's not the only thing you take into consideration. It's not
the only metric, because most people are never going to call the radio station to make a request. It's only the people that are the most passionate about a specific band or song.
Yeah. And the same thing happens with all kinds of programming, not just in the world of Tonal, but anywhere. And I see it over on the OTC where people will say, well, I only like this kind of programming. Why aren't you doing more of this?
Right.
But the data would say that's not just that everyone else, there's a subset of people taking those kinds of classes, but then lots of other people are taking other kinds of classes. And
exactly.
So that's why they make the decisions they make.
Absolutely. So your last chance to enter the 4-week fast track contest is upon us.
It is. Yeah. So this is really cool because if you get chosen, you get to go into the Tonal studio and you get to like hang out with the instructors and stuff. So that's pretty neat. They
let you pick any one item from the vending machine in the break room.
But it's all filled with healthy things.
Oh, son of a... Of course it is. It's all broccoli sprouts.
Gross. Can you imagine if that was really in a vending machine? Oh.
Can you imagine what that vending machine would smell like?
Exactly.
Can you imagine what that break room would smell like? Everybody eating broccoli all day. Oh, dear. Everybody's like, no stretching. No stretching. You keep that downward dog to yourself. You had 4 pieces of broccoli for dinner. No, thank you. So the Tonal community hit 200 billion pounds.
It's really astounding. That's a big number.
That's a lot.
And you have 8 million of that all by yourself.
Ooh.
It's pretty cool.
Well, let's do the math. What percentage is that?
It's a much bigger percentage than my not even 2 million is. So there's that. I don't know about the math because I don't like to do math.
Nor do I. I was a mass communications major.
Yeah.
Who didn't graduate until the age of 45. Only because of a math class.
Well, I was a business major, so I should like to do math. But let me point out that business math is different.
Very different.
And you can do it in Excel.
Right.
Although I could do this math in Excel.
That is true. But we're too lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 200 billion, that's
really, that's ginormous. It wasn't that long ago that they hit 100 billion pounds.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess it stands to reason that the community collectively is like the community indivially, right? That it's like it takes forever to hit that first million, and then all of a sudden
start to zoom.
Yeah, because it's like I hit 8 million not too long ago, but I'm almost a quarter of the way to 9 already, and it feels like it's only been like a few weeks, and I've been doing something that is admittedly less volume.
All right, settle down.
No, I'm just saying that's how it works.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, like because it's what's the I can't remember what the math term is, that it's like
compound interest.
It is like compound interest.
Increasing exponentially.
Exponentially, that's the word I was looking for.
Well, I'm not quite exponential in my weightlifting.
Again, compared to me, you are.
Certainly compared to where I was pre-tonal.
Yeah. I'm amazed. And it's I was looking at the leaderboard, which I know a lot of people are like, the leaderboard, it means nothing. But I think it does, because it's how many times you show up. And there are people that are telling the truth about how often they show up. Like, if you have that much time to lie about it.
Yeah, I guess
these people?
You can log into the app and just let something play to increase your time. But
I guess.
But you're only lying to yourself.
Right?
Like what?
What is that going to do?
Yeah.
But seeing that I was like 23,000 out of 75,000, I remember when you first started doing the Tonal, there wasn't even a leaderboard when you first started doing it. But then not long after that, it was like only like 20,000 people on the leaderboard. So it's pretty cool to see it growing exponentially. And not everybody puts their information on the leaderboard.
Right.
Like, you don't have to. So I have no idea how many are really out there. But I think it's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's neat.
So if you are a reader, got ourselves a reader. If you're a reader, Tonal and Tim Landicho are looking for book recommendations.
Yeah. So I thought this was especially interesting because the last time we talked to Tim, we got into a conversation. Well, this was the time you weren't able to be there, but I got into a conversation with Tim about books. And he was out on the OTC looking for book recommendations, and he had several. And then he was asking people for theirs. So there's like a whole book thread that has all kinds of amazing book recommendations out on the OTC. I thought it was fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. I also like that it wasn't just asking for like fitness or nutrition themed books.
Right. No, it was all kinds of stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
You can work out your head too.
Yeah. And you're more well-rounded when you do.
That's true. So Tonal had a cute a little promo. Why do you love Tonal?
Yeah, I loved this. It was I saw it over on Instagram, but I'm sure they have it in more places than that. But they asked people why they loved Tonal, and they had all kinds of different answers. But they all spoke to me in different ways. You know, some people were like, because I can do it at home. Some people were very much like you, Tom, like, because I don't have to think.
Yeah, because I don't know what I'm doing otherwise.
Exactly.
And you do.
Takes all the guesswork out of it.
So here's my $50 a month. You tell me what to do.
Just tell me the things.
Yeah.
And I will do it.
And then I will walk away and not think about it again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Until you show back up.
Yes.
Yeah. And I loved hearing people's reactions, their sincerity about it. I mean, it's an amazing machine, and I truly love it. I get that it's not for everybody, especially people who are very like dismissive of how much weight that you need to lift. You need to lift so much more. But I think for the average person, it's way more weight than you're ever going to need. And it's cool.
Yeah, I would agree. Like there are certainly people out there that are super jacked and
Absolutely.
that this maybe won't get them where they want to be or keep them where they're at. But for 95% of people, you're okay. You're not going to outlift the machine.
You're not.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
And if you do, it'll be by a smidge. Just do a couple extra reps. You're good.
Exactly. Or even slow it down. I mean, it really does change how intense the reps are when you slow down the momentum. Like when you lift or pull, let it go down at a much slower pace.
That's true.
I promise you, it will add a whole nother level.
New tonal content.
As always, there is tons of new content for people to partake in.
Yes.
We'll start with a new upper body HIIT.
Okay, so this one is 28 minutes long, and it is with Christina Centenari. It's upper body, but you're going to elevate your heart rate and get your upper body pump on. So you're going to do both, and it's going to be duration-based intervals, lifting heavy to build lean muscle and burn fat.
Okay, we have new full body HIIT.
Okay, so this is part of that Reps 45, and this one's with Coach Woody. It's intermediate, and it's 51 minutes. It's a high energy HIIT workout that it's going to combine 4 things: resistance, endurance, power, and stamina. So full body. I mean, basically, it's just an amazing full body workout.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have new full body strength.
Okay. So this is Strong as a Mother with Coach Ash. And this is a full body, also 51 minutes. And this was originally kind of to celebrate that Mother's Day kind of time frame. And it was things like holding babies, lifting them out of the crib, chasing kids around, like all of those things are important to being a mom and all the mom people who act as moms, whatever you are. And this is awesome because this workout helps you prep for those demands and helps you be able to do all those different kinds of movements.
And we also have new recovery.
Yeah. So Sweet Back Relief with Coach Tanisha. This is an intermediate, 12 minutes long. And you're going to be able to get all the kinks out of your back in 15 minutes. You are going to use your foam roller and you're going to work your way down from your neck to the mid back and then to the glutes, releasing tension.
Oh, it says you finished standing a few inches taller. I can use that. We also have new quick fit.
This is Attack the Abs, and this is with Coach Ash. 15 minutes. It's for the core. You're going to get your core from every angle. This is a duration based on tonal and body weight exercise. You're going to go through all these rotational, anti-rotational movement patterns with short rest periods.
And finally, new quick fit.
Right. So this is for the back, and it's a superset, 7 minutes long. So you're going to do compound move with an isolation move to build your back by maximizing time under tension. So you're going to lift heavy first, and that's going to stimulate the hypertrophy and endurance, and then you're going to lighten up and engage burnout mode.
These all sound like really good, just like additions to other things. If you're like, oh, I haven't done this in a while, but I don't want to do another 30 minutes. Like you can just like. Boop.
Right. Well, and it's especially great for people who, let's say that you're doing lots of full body, or maybe you've got a great well-rounded program that's doing upper and lower, but it's getting to be swimsuit time now. And you might want to, really focus in on the core or really focus in on the back. Like this is a really good way to do that. These types of workouts are great to add on.
Awesome.
Checking in with the Tonal community.
Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube from Tonal, it's Troy Taylor. Hey, how's it going, Troy?
It's gone really well. Thanks for having me back on.
Oh, we appreciate you being back. You're a great sense of information, great source of information from the Tonal Strength Institute. There's always so much going on in that world, and all over Tonal. Why don't you bring us up to speed on what you guys, like how things kind of appear to you from your vantage point when you think about the state of strength this year?
Yeah, well, we released a big report just, I think it was at the very end of last year, so maybe in December, called The State of Strength. And so we really want to take a deep dive into our member base and sort of share some of that data that informs a lot of like the product decisions we make and also the programming decisions we make. But a little more than even that, just to give a sense of what like training across hundreds of thousands of people look like. That's not an opportunity that many companies get to do or to share. And so we wanted to share just like, yes, it's about Tonal members and Tonal users, and it's very applicable to us. But more, it's kind of a deep dive, I think, into people that resistance train in general and some of the things that are going on there. So we did that at the end of last year and really wanted to do a couple of things. We wanted to pick some trends that I think are hot topics generally around the fitness and fitness related industry, more like women in strength training and what that looks like, the active aging population and how strength training is becoming more popular and common for them. And then some of the things that we have unique insight into. One of the things I'm really passionate about is I love optimization problems. Like I'm all about like, what does the science tell us about the best possible way to do something or get better gains, which is nice and it's geeky for me, but it doesn't really matter unless people actually do it. Like it's the training portion, the showing up, the consistency, the engagement. And we actually have probably a better vantage point than anyone else in the world of understanding engagement and what drives engagement or is associated with engagement and consistency. And so I tried to share some of that data and what we have a unique vantage point on.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think a lot of times historically, this sort of data has to be self-reported. So you're trusting people to either remember what they did accurately or tell you the truth, because people love to think they're tougher and stronger than they actually are. And so Tonal provides such a unique opportunity of like, there's no way to fudge the numbers. It is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. It's both the quality of the data in terms of it is really what you actually did. It's also the sort of fidelity of the data. It's like every single time you lift it, every rep, like 50 times a hertz, so 50 times a second, every rep of every person. And so you've got this fidelity component, which allows us to understand that. And then it's also a bit around an ecosystem. We have obviously a trainer, but we also have an app. And so we can understand like what's associations between, say, how often you check your stats or how many friends do you follow or things like that. This kind of like not directly related to training, but may influence or be associated with training related stuff. So we can kind of take this slightly broader, holistic kind of things, which was really interesting.
When you think about the report that you guys did, what were the things that stood out to you personally the most? Like, what were the things you were most excited to see there?
Yeah, I think probably the biggest thing, and this probably shows my age, but I was super keen to show some of the active aging and understanding what strength training looks like as we age and what we can do. And I think so the biggest things that were in the report around that was, number one, I may have said it on this podcast, but I'm big fan. Like we've known for a while that strength training, you can make changes. You can get stronger in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. You can put on muscle mass. I don't think anyone has shown, and certainly not with the kind of ends that we have, like 20,000 plus, I think more than 55 plus were included, showed sort of 70, 75% increases in strength in their first year, like huge increases. So yes, I knew we could increase it. Yes, the research says in, 20 or 30, 60-year-olds over 12 weeks, yes, they can increase it by a little bit. But what we show is over a year's worth of training can increase, 70, 75%. And it didn't make it into the report. There's only so much data you can pack in. But if you went out another year, so you went to 2 years, because we have this longitudinal data set, they were making, over 100% increases in strength on average. And this is one of the things I like is this is mean. This is not me cherry picking. Hey, I took,
the best of the best.
Yeah, our very best super users that work out 6 times a week and have perfect consistency. And yeah, they made these great gains. They did make great gains, by the way. But this is the mean of on the whole sample size was 175,000. And to be included in this sample, the only things you had to do, I think, train at least 3 times on Tonal and have a consistency of more than 5%, which means that you worked out at least once every 20 weeks. Like, that's a low bar. Like, we could have done a lot of things to cherry pick this data to make it like it could seem even bigger and better. But what we want to do is, this is what happens. This is strength training in the wild for the average person. So there's some people that were probably just above that bar, hopefully not too many. And then there were some super users, but the average increase in those 55 plus year olds was 73% over the first year, gets up to close to or over 100% after 2 years. So huge strength changes, that's probably the number one thing that made me sort of excited about, and related also to the strength training and the active aging group, was the number of people that reported of having a goal of being new to strength training. And there was a very strong relationship between being new to strength training and actually increasing in age. So the older you are, the more likely you are to be new to strength training. I think that's a great message. It seems like the public awareness that strength training is good for the active aging. So people in their 60s and 70s who have never strength trained, or at least self-identifying as being a beginner, are now sort of using our product and hopefully getting stronger out of doing that. And so I think that's really cool. I think the benefits are pretty clear research-wise. So it's good to see that people are applying those.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. I don't think I had taken that in, if that was in the report, that many people self-identified, and that it's like a increase as they age. I mean, I know people should be, quote unquote, doing more strength training. I read a crazy stat once that something like, 60% of all women over the age of 60 can't lift 10 pounds above their head. And that's
scary.
That's really scary. It is. And when you talk about longevity or just being mobile or self-sufficient, like that is an important goal for a lot of people. So I'm glad that that's getting into the psyche of the public.
Yeah, I agree. Just to put numbers on it, I'm looking at the report now because I can't remember the details, but I'll just quote this stuff. I've got everything stored in the perfect memory. But I think of our 30 to 40-year-olds, about 30% of them identify as being beginner. Of our 70-year-olds, it's nearly 50% identify as being beginner. Wow. And so, and it does, as you're 50, you start, there's more beginners, 60-year-olds, more beginners. Even go to our 80-year-olds, 80-plus-year-olds, and there's 60% of those that are class themselves as beginners to strength training. So that is self-identified data. That's what they select. But I think that's a really cool thing to see. So number one, new people are getting, and people are getting stronger.
Do you have any insight as to why someone is starting strength training so late in life? Like, what got them over the hump?
Yeah, so we did some follow-up questions around that. I have some senses and some data to support it. I think of that population, the 55 plus year olds, I think well more than half of them identify that living a long and healthy life and then improving fitness is why they bought Tonal. Those are the sort of the goals that they're chasing. They're not necessarily chasing, muscle mass gains. Muscle mass gains may be important to longer quality of life and to kind of things, but I think that generally people are being identified that this is a key component for me to staying independent. And I think that's one that in some of our UX research interviews and sort of just general customer comments, it's about independency. It's about maintaining this quality of life. I've worked hard, I'm retired, hopefully, kind of things. I want to enjoy this and I want to be able to stay doing this as long as possible. I think a lot of that message is getting through to at least the people that are buying Tonal in that age demographic, that strength training is really important for them to do that, which is cool.
No, I think that makes total sense. I mean, I famously detest exercise.
Famously.
Yeah, I have no interest in it from an enjoyment aspect, but I'm in my 50s, and that is kind of what got me to finally cave and start. Of just, I'm seeing other people my age that I went to high school and college with, and some of them oof, like that, and I don't mean it from an aesthetic standpoint. I mean it from it looks like they're having difficulties, and that's not going to get better if they don't do anything. And so I was I'm going to be that guy, and I wanted to get out in front of it.
Yeah, the research is pretty clear that if we just do what the typical American or Westerner does, we're going to lose about 10% strength every year. We might lose even more power. And power is actually arguably more important than strength. So power equals force times velocity. So it's the strength component, but how quickly you can do that. If you think about getting out of a chair chair, it's actually a power move. It doesn't feel like a power move if you're relatively, but you have to do it relatively quickly. What happens to older people? They get up really slowly. They don't have the speed. They have the strength to do it.
Right. It doesn't feel like a power move until you can't do it.
Exactly. And so we know that decreases, and we know that power decreases probably faster. There's a lot of epidemiological research that says that to do that if we don't strength train and if we don't do these things. But there's also a really decent basis of evidence, like what I just said, we get 73% increases in our strength. We make our female 55 plus year olds, and don't legal quote me on the exact percentage here because I don't have the report in front of me, but make about 140% increases in deadlift peak power in their first year. Huge. So they get stronger and faster. They get stronger, but they get a lot faster. And that's what's going to get you out of a chair. That's what's going to keep you independent. There's a research test called a timed up and go test. It's basically how quickly you can get out of a chair. I walk, I think, 10 meters and then come back and sit down. And it's like a 1-to-1 correlation with how slow with how unfortunately likely you are to die in the next 12 months. It's a pretty strong correlator. If you're really, really slow at doing that, and it's a power move, right? Speed, walking is essentially a power. It's applying force to the ground relatively quickly. And so, we see these huge increases in strength and power, which is super cool to see. And showing it in tens of thousands of people across long time spans with typical levels of training, not like super exaggerated, crazy, you've got to be on this, crazy training program. This is just what our members are doing in their homes. And so it's cool to see we're having that impact.
For sure. And so if you're older and you're thinking, oh, Tonal's expensive, price out one of those recliners that lift you when it's time to get up. Like,
yeah.
Or the healthcare related cost to falls, right? I think once you're over 65, something like one of the leading causes of healthcare bills is essentially falls, which tends to be a strength and power issue along with a balance and stability issue. Those medical bills rack up really quickly. So we hope no one has those. We hope Tonal can do its part in helping kind of show those. But it was cool from the data side to see that it seems to be making a difference in those members.
That's amazing. I'm curious, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, but I see a lot of Tonal ads in my email or on Facebook or Instagram. I'm curious if those are the same methods you're using to get in front of people who are older, because I just think about my family. They are not the most savvy with social media. So I'm just curious if there's a different marketing ploy.
My dad is a Facebook monster. He's on there way more than I am. But it's interesting. I would say for most of Tonal's history, we have this membership base, not because we've targeted them, just because they've sought us out. It probably wasn't a conscious effort to go out and have the exact right marketing messages to get these tens of thousands of 55 plus year old active aging community. We did launch our first active aging community campaign back end of last year, where we're trying to basically tell member stories for the large part of that. And so that was sort of a first sort of dabble into some of that space. And a lot of it's honestly, it's showing belonging. There's people like you that are using our platform. This is the outcomes that you can make. We've got this incredible video of Arlene, who's one of our super user members. She's 66 years old, 2-time cancer survivor, just reached 3 million pounds. I've seen the video so many times that I know now. But it's showing that there's realistically that this is kind of thing. So I think over the next year, what you'll see, I don't want to speak for our marketing campaign, but is us working out how we best communicate to that membership base. And showing the advantages of the product that we can provide and the outcomes that we can kind of provide for that type of member.
Is there any other, when you talk about longevity and strength training, you mentioned some really important points about power and how we work out. Are there other types of things that a person might not make the connection, like you said, about getting out of the chair, that could easily show this ability to increase their power or see how they're making strides over time besides their strength score?
Yeah, I would say sit to stand testing is a really good one. So if it's used in the research quite a lot, but if you take basically a standard height chair, 18 to 24 inches, you want to be able to sit and stand at least 15 times in 30 seconds. If you can't do that, that's not a great path of where your strength and power is heading for essentially health span and lifespan. So health span is like living actively full lives, engagement with minimal kind of related disease. Obviously, lifespan is how long you're on this earth for. Both are strongly correlated with that score going down. So once you get over 15, you're in a good spot. You want to be closer to 30. But once it goes down, that would definitely be one of the places to do there. On Tonal itself, we have that power score, the power meter, and I would definitely utilize to try and keep that. You want to be trying to hit power PRs or at least moving with intent. What the research tells us about power training is moving fast is good, but it's actually the intent to move fast that is more important. It's about because essentially it's mostly a neurological adaptation. It's about firing sequences. So you're trying to move quickly. Whether you actually move quickly or not is important to some extent, but it's actually the attempting to move quickly, at least in a concentric direction of where you kind of thing. So if you're, say, deadlifting or something like that, you're doing a neutral grip deadlift, you want to try and explode the upward concentric portion of the movement as quickly as you can, and then slowly control the eccentric or the downward portion of that. But try and get that power meter. That's all based on concentric power. That's the kind of the property that we want to work on.
Fascinating. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And there's so many other benefits of, I'm going to go off and just make this an active aging things, but of like the American Heart Association this year updated its position stand statement to show the benefits of strength training for heart health. Research has been there for 5 to 10 years, but it takes a long time for these very high profile public organizations to change their position statements. And they came out to say that strength training is beneficial for heart disease, both prevention and in the treatment of. Which I think was a huge step. There was a mini review released yesterday on the impact of strength training on vascular systems, so your blood vessels and how it benefits around there, and you get essentially better blood flow, lower blood pressure. There's a plethora of research coming around of the role of strength training as it relates to mitigating or reducing the likelihood of things like Alzheimer's. It plays a role. It's not that it's a prevent or cause or kind of things, but there are associations with decreased outcomes as it relates to neurological diseases and in the treatment of neurological diseases and preventing further decay. There's a lot of research around there, around social and emotional health and, stress, anxiety. And so, just all of these sort of non-traditional strength training makes my muscles big and strong. It does. That's a really, really good thing. But there's all of these auxiliary benefits that I think have been underappreciated or underaware that are now coming out in the research literature and making its way into public health, which is pretty cool to see for someone that's really obsessed about strength training.
That's fascinating because for years that's been cardio based. All the things you said have always been about cardio. So I love hearing that strength is getting some attention. It definitely deserves it. When you ask people like doctors or you ask personal trainers, they always say that's the one thing that you can do, lifting weights, that's going to make you young longer, not cardio. And not that cardio is bad. I'm not trying to give cardio.
Yeah, no, I'm not either. And there are actually some research to suggest there's additive benefits. There are both independent and codependent benefits. But yes, you want to do both. Both are definitely a good thing to do. But you could probably get more of the basis covered from strength training than probably previously thought, which is cool to know. If that's what you prefer.
I feel like with strength training, you're gonna stumble into some cardio whether you want to or not. But with cardio, you're never gonna stumble into strength training.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. You can make strength training with high rep, long sets or long rep durations. You can make it fairly cardiometabolically active, right? You can make it you can get a high heart rate, you can get out of breath, just do one of Woody's HIIT classes and I'm under load, but I'm definitely feeling my lungs as much as on my muscles. But yes, it's true. It's very difficult to get the same like muscle strengthening benefits out of cardio. Prevention of osteoporosis, bone mineral density. Those are tougher to mitigate from a cardio perspective. Although I will say I'm not anti-cardio.
It's just Tom is. I mean, I am cardio, but Tom is anti-cardio all the way.
Yeah, I'm pro-exercise with a strong bias towards strength training and reps of 8 less or less. But I also walk on a treadmill a fair amount or outside when it's not snowy.
Very healthy of you. Very well balanced.
I try.
What other items are on the state of strength report that we haven't talked about that you feel like people need to make sure people know about?
Yeah, I think we had a section all around female strength. And I think this is, I think we've broken through this barrier that 2-pound weights and female strength training is a thing of the past. Like, I think we showed that in this sample size over a given year, it was October 22 to October 23. I think close to 12 billion pounds was lifted by our female members included. 12 billion pounds, like with an average of, I think it was about 3,500 pounds per workout. Like, if you imagine how many reps you'd have to do if that was 2 or 4 pound dumbbells. And again, this is mean. So this means like that one session where you switched on Tonal, you did one set and then, Tom bugged you and you had to go off and you stopped it. That counts as like, the 100 pounds that you lifted before you got interrupted. That's all included. So when you start thinking about that, that's probably on the low side, and it's 3,500 pounds. And one of the things that, again, didn't make it into the report, but I get to see on the back end is that's 10% more than last year, which was 10% more than the year before. And so we're seeing this progressive overload. Now, slightly different member sets are included. You can't be perfect one-to-one, but you're seeing increases in the amount of people lifted. We see people lift more in programs than they do in free lifting. And so having a little, okay, I got to complete this to get it done is more likely to lift more across both our female and our male members. That's true. And then we did definitely notice some differences between the most popular exercises that maybe some of our female members do versus our male members. Overall, but especially our male members are not doing a ton of legs, especially if they're given their own choice. If they're not in a program, if it's their free lifting or their custom, they're doing like a leg set maybe every, I can't remember what it was, but certainly not every workout. I think it was one every 2 to 3. 25% of free lifting workouts have a leg exercise in them. So one in 4 have any leg exercise. So whereas our female members, goblet squatting was the most popular move, the most commonly done. Neutral deadlift was number 2. And so we're definitely noticing that our female members are more balanced within their overall strength profile and exercise selections. I would say I contribute, unfortunately, probably to the male stereotype there. I get in more than one of every 4, but it's probably not one every 2. So yeah.
Well, I feel like I'm really good. I've talked about this before because I only do programs. I almost never do one-offs, and I never skip leg day. And because if it wasn't in a program, if I was left to my own devices, I would absolutely be doing what you're doing. And so I know that about myself. And so I only do programs, and I might hate it, but I'm like, this is next item up for bid. I'm going to do it.
Yeah. And 66% of program workouts have leg workouts in them, versus 25% of free lifting. So we try to make sure that it's in there, and so there's a lot more around that. So that was interesting. And then the other piece that I was super interested in was this engagement and consistency piece, and how we can really sort of, how can we understand what. Like, we can't identify causality, right? We can't say this caused this. This is not a randomized control trial. This is just observational data from thousands upon thousands of people. So what we can develop is associations. And I generally use the heuristic that success leaves trails. And you go, okay, well, these are things that successful people do. If I do enough of them, maybe I'll be successful too, kind of approach. And it's not perfect. It doesn't map one-on-one. But one of the things that we noticed is people that follow programs are 12% more consistent consistent, so work out more frequently and regularly than people that don't follow programs. That makes some sense, right? In that, maybe people that would opt into that are more likely to be signing up to something consistent. There's also some behavioral science concepts around like commitment devices. I've made a commitment to do something, therefore I am going to do it. But we get to see that quite strongly. And we actually find that our older members are more consistent than our younger members too, which I think is interesting. So
it's because we have the specter of death hanging over us. So that's a commitment device all its own.
It is a motivator. I'm just keeping going, but yeah, they're definitely more consistent. Maybe they have more time availability, might be another reason. It's slightly less morbid, but there. And then one of the things that I found super interesting was that sort of app to trainer kind of working out. And so we found that members who followed, I want to say something like 30 plus people are around 20% more consistent than people who don't. So if you were following people on the app, checking what their workout, and it might be reverse causality that you're engaged in the platform, therefore you follow people. I'm not saying it's a perfect map, but even once you get into like 1 to 10 people, like I think you were 10% more consistent on average following 1 to 10 people. Or if you checked your stats, you're around 20% more consistent in your workouts than someone that didn't check their stats. And so it's just like these little things that maybe you can do that might be, hey, if you're struggling with commitment and of doing the things that you identify, we call it in the research literature, like the exercise intention behavior gap. I have the intention to exercise, but there's this gap where I do not exercise, intention behavior gap. So if you want to bridge that gap, what are some of the things that you can do? Well, probably sign up to a program is probably going to help you versus trying to do individual workouts. Take some choice architecture decision making out of it, get a commitment device. Maybe follow some friends on the app or join the Facebook community, but get some engagement kind of point of view because you can see more people similar like you to motivate you, accountability buddies and things like that. And check your progress, right? We always like to make progress towards our goals. What we're showing in this data is people are making great progress. You're likely, if you train, to make great progress too. And so if you do those three things alone, you're probably likely to smoothen that intention behavior gap. Hopefully.
Wow. That's all very exciting. I'm curious if you see if the data shows any difference between a 4-week program or a 2-week program or a 1-week program. Like if there's like a certain number of weeks that people might suddenly get a little less compliant.
Yes, the completion rates are inversely related to the length of the program. Actually, it goes a little more than this, and I don't know this data super well, so again, caveats and terms and conditions apply, but particularly when you are more beginner focused, you're not as into routines and not as consistently. Like something like Atomic Habits would tell you, like, it's about doing the smallest worthwhile step, right? Don't sign up to a pro, just do something. And we certainly see within that user cohort, like a 1-week program or a 2-week program, you're much more likely to consistently stick to it. And quick fits or short workouts are definitely better than longer ones at doing that. Once if you sign up to 4 weeks of House of Volume and it's your first time ever working out, you might not be completing it within the designated time scale. So I think there's this relationship between, particularly early in your strength training journey, in making these small steps. Maybe it is worthwhile having a commitment to do something like a 1-week program or a 2-week program, but make sure they're short workouts and make sure they're enjoyable. And we do see a relationship between star ratings or people's enjoyment of workouts and how likely they are to do them and come back. And that's repeated in the research literature too. I might have said this last time. We did a study with Rhode Island that showed the people's enjoyment using tonal versus selector size traditional gym equipment, and actually showed that over an 8-week training study in middle-aged females, that enjoyment maintained on tonal where it decreased on selector size equipment. So enjoying working out is important to working out, or at least building a love or enjoyment of working out, and doing the smaller steps are important for that. But we actually see with some of our most engaged members, they want more and harder. They're almost the reverse. It's like, give me more.
Yeah.
And I'm like, seriously, I ethically cannot write a harder training program. This is really, really hard. I've given, Lindsey Vonn didn't do this training program when I was running the ski team, so I'm not sure that we should be, but okay, if you're keen.
I feel like that's how you felt about House of Volume.
That's all Joe. But yeah, he's like, can I write this? I'm like, hey, they seem to want it. So yeah, go for it.
We're going to have to start signing waivers before we start programs.
Yes. No, there's definitely, there's a subsection of our membership that's like the challenge, shall we say, of doing, but they finish it and they bust through PRs, they make huge gains. But yeah, certainly when we're on the beginner side of it, small worthwhile steps. How can we stack the odds in our favor? And hopefully those are some of the tactics we can do.
Those are incredible. And I feel like this is a good time, Tom, for you to ask your question about strength score, because it goes right in line with what.
For sure. So I've done House of Volume, I think, a couple times now. Right. They all kind of blur together.
Showing off now, Tom.
No, I'm just saying I've done it. And I'm still doing these episodes with my shirt on. So,
okay.
So I haven't made that many gains. But I had an interesting thing happen with my strength score that has never happened. So, and this is not a complaint. So I know most questions about a strength score are coded.
Why didn't it
complaints.
go up? Why did it go down? I hit a PR and it didn't change.
So mine did go up, and after it went up 60 points after I finished a workout. Like, not even completed a program, it was just in the middle of the program. It was like I hit the jackpots on the slots watching it go, and I was like, what did I do? I was mystified. So any insight as to why I would suddenly bounce up to that level?
Now, can I
number one,
I want to give a guess first. This is my guess that I tried to explain to him, but he's got
someone there took pity on me and they hacked the system.
He started to do his more volume-based programs about 6 months ago. And so all of a sudden, this level of volume, this level of strength and amount of how often he was working out started to go up. That is my thought, but I'm curious.
I think that's probably a pretty good basis of what's going on. So, first off, strength score is only related to your estimations of your 1RM, so your strength 1RMs and PRs. It's not related to volume, it's not related to power. So it's only related to estimations of 1RM across not all, but the vast majority of the movements. And so how we can increase our estimation of 1RM and therefore jump up our strength score is we either lift a heavier weight for the same number of reps that we have, or we lift the same weight or a lighter weight for more reps. So we can lift heavier or we can lift more. And those are the sort of essentially the two underlying components. And there's a bunch of other AI, machine learning and stuff I don't really understand. But that's essentially what's feeding into the system. And so with something like House of Volume, if you saw that kind of increase, I would speculate, your data is anonymized, so I don't know, and I couldn't actually find out, is... Number one, it was probably a movement that you hadn't done for either a while or ever before. And if it's a movement that you haven't done or ever before, we kind of take a fairly consistently low baseline, or we take a baseline based on your strength score whenever that movement came into the library or a long time ago. And so it might have been somewhat artificially low, given you've been given this 6 months of training, of more volume. You could express a lot more strength in that move than we'd previously been understanding. So say it was, I don't know, let's say rack squats, just for an example. You've never done rack squats. We'd estimated your 1RM for 10 reps was 40 pounds. And then you actually went to House of Volume, and knowing how many reps are in there, it was probably 18 or 20 or some higher amount of that. And maybe you either increase the weight, or based on your other moves, we estimated your weight was more, and you basically lifted 50 pounds for 20 times rather than 10 for 40. And that would calculate essentially a new increase in estimated 1RM for that move, which would then increase for your entire squat patterning, which would increase your lower body strength score, which would then increase your total strength score. So that would be my estimation. It was a movement that you hadn't done for either a long time or maybe ever. Maybe it was a movement that we was added to a movement expansion pack that maybe wasn't in one of our earlier ones before. And so you hadn't done that. And then you lifted it a lot of times, our weight that we thought was, wow, that's impressive, Tom. Let's give you a gold star or 60 strength score points for that.
Okay. Yeah. Now I'm trying to think about if there's something I did that was unusual, like a move but I'll have to maybe go back through and look to see if there's anything that jumps out at me. While
your answer was absolutely more thorough than my answer, I still feel like that was pretty much my answer.
It's pretty much the same. I just gave a little background. I just the longer you speak for more words to say the same thing is my forte. Or the other way you cheated is it said bicep curls and you did deadlifts. That's the way to hack the system.
I feel like we should bleep that out so people don't start playing that
I
game.
think everyone's already worked that out.
Oh, have they?
Know that.
Gotcha. Yeah, and because honestly, like it's interesting to see it move, but I have no real self-esteem linked to it. It is what it is. I'm just going to do what I do. But just when I saw that big of a jump, I was like, well, that's different.
Yeah, it's a good, I'd say, broad metric of things. Yes, you want to be increasing over time. Like this is too geeky, but like the strength relationship is a linear log relationship, which means that essentially I get strong relatively quickly. And then it takes me a really long time to get stronger and a really, really, really long time to get even stronger, right? It goes up steep and then it plateaus off. That's kind of a linear log, and it's like a 1 to 10 relationship. So if I could increase my strength by 10 pounds in the first month, it might take me 10 months to increase it the next 10 pounds or something like that. It's this very slow descending. So like particularly early in your journey, you'll see these rapidly increases as you get stronger around there, and then it will plateau. And we want to see a general upward trend of it generally, but it's not something to live or die by if it increases by a few points or decreases by a few points. I think they're all within the natural normal variation. I'll get myself in trouble for this, but eventually we'll come out with some other things that will be useful for you to also track in that space.
Oh, interesting.
Ooh.
Eventually. Nothing coming this week or next. But certainly stuff that we're working on in the background is how can we give you some more holistic metrics.
So 3 weeks from today. I'm just
Yes. There will be a press conference.
Are there any other trends in strength training or anything else that we haven't covered you want to make sure that we cover?
Oh, yeah, there's lots. I think we've covered most of them. Some of the things that are like in strength training research right now that kind of make me kind of like geek out and get excited. There's lots of research coming out around long muscle length training. So like, back in the day, like it was always about the squeeze. You got to, pump the squeeze is where that's where you get the growth. And actually the research is kind of trending towards in the last year, 18 months or so, that actually it's the stretched part of that. So imagine you're doing a fly, the bottom part of the fly, that stretched portion might be the most hypertrophic. So build the most amount of muscle. And so full repetition training is still, I think, what I would recommend, Tonal recommends, but certainly it seems that longer muscle length position is most important. It's certainly for some muscles, whether it's for every muscle or it's not, is not totally clear right now. But there's definitely a lot of research around that. A lot of that research is, on things like quadricep extensions or hamstring curls. And so is if I do the top portion of the move, I'm in the shortened position. If I do the long, but I'm more stretched, my quads are more stretched. And that consistently shows that the stretched position is more beneficial potentially for hypertrophy than that top position. So this is one of my message to don't cheat on that stuff. If you're thinking about a lat pull down, you want to make sure you feel that stretch, control the way up, but feel the stretch at the top. You don't want to stop here. You're probably cheating yourself out of gains. You want to make sure that you get the full stretch on something like a row, or, if you're doing a chest press or a bench press, that you make sure that you contract your sort of entire chest, or flies, it's the bottom part of the motion. You want to really focus on the stretch. The research is kind of interesting in that space, because there's not too many new and novel things that we learn that like, I didn't know that. And so that's kind of a topic that's been become more prominent in the research literature. The other one that has come out has been, there's always this question around like how much volume is enough volume, the best volume for hypertrophy, mostly for building muscle, and how much should I do? And there's been 2 published meta-analyses, maybe 3, one in 2010 that had basically no studies involved in it, one in 2017-16 by Brad Schoenfeld, and one in 2022 by Bez Valley, that basically said around 10 to 20 sets per muscle group per week is the optimal amount of strength training for building muscle. So if you do more than that, not that it's bad, but you won't get any more gains. And this is on average. If you're brand new, I would not recommend that and kind of there, but on average in resistance trained people, about 10 to 20 sets. So if you see most of the tonal programs in tonal, particularly in our intermediate advanced, you're going to find us right in that range. And that's something that I and the coaches will use as a sort of barometer for like, is this like, is it hypertrophy enough? Is there enough stimulus in that? So just to give that, if that was like, I don't know, 10 to 20 sets of bench press, it could be 10% of chest. It could be 4 sets of bench press, 4 sets of chest flies. You're getting multiple movement patterns to get to that 10 to 20 sets. So that's where the research literature was. There was a study that came out this year, or last year, sorry, at the end of last year, that they started at 20 sets, 22 sets, and then they increased 4 or 6 sets every 2 weeks for 12 weeks. So they ended up in the 40 sets and in the 50 sets. And they found non-significantly different increases. So meaningful, real world meaningful, but not statistically, increases in hypertrophy going up to like an average of like 35 sets a week, which was the first time that's ever been shown that high volume. So that's not, I'm saying everyone to go and train for 35 sets a week. I think that would be challenging to do. They did it for one muscle part. It was just for quadriceps, and that's all they focused on. But actually some of that research informed our program that is coming out next month that has already been talked about with Coach Akeem and Ultimate Arms.
Yeah.
And so we directly applying some of that research of high volume. It's essentially a specialization phase. And so it's kind of cool from my side to be able to use research and apply that to training. And we'll do other ultimate series like body part specializations where we'll get into the 30-ish sets a week of arms in that program. Everything else will be relatively low or very low. But sort of application of research into training is kind of cool.
That's fascinating. So, yeah, I love that. You guys are right on the cutting edge. It's really cool. It's neat.
Try to keep myself in a job. So, I got to come up with new ways to train. We should be doing the same things we did 20 years ago. Why do we have you, Troy? There's this new study. Let's do a program.
Awesome. Well, this has been fascinating and lots of useful information, and information that maybe will calm some people down too. Yeah. About like you are doing the right thing, or there's a method to the madness. Trust the system, right? Yeah. So
there's a lot of smart people well beyond myself that go into creating these things. So there's a lot of, you should have a lot of trust in what we put out.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us. Before we let you go, let everybody know where they can find you in all the places.
Yeah, my Instagram account is Strength Science Troy. I am somewhat regular again. I went through my highs and lows. I've posted every day. Like I never had an Instagram account, created one a year ago, posted every day for 3 months, then didn't post for 6. And now I'm back to once or twice a week. So you can follow me there, or my LinkedIn is just my name and face.
That's how awesome. I am with workouts. Just every day I'm on it, and then I will fall off, and then I'll come back with a more reasonable time frame.
Follow a program, follow some friends on kind of things, check your stats for your progress. Work out earlier in the morning. Some data suggests that I mostly chalk that down to nothing that's special about the mornings, just less stuff comes up in your day that can get in the way. But people who work out in the morning tend to be a little more consistent because they get it done before the rest of the day happens.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Troy.
Yes.
Pleasure, guys. Thank you so much.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. Until next time, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can also find me on the Tonal leaderboard and all the other socials at Clip Out Crystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online at facebook.com/Superset Podcast. And don't forget, you can watch all of these over on YouTube. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep lifting.
Smart training, there you are, customize, make it right, AI, form and vibe, Superset will show you what it's all about, it's a tonal workout.
The Superset is made possible in part by support from Tonal.